with the introduction of the Mark 8 Fiesta into the hot hatch market, I've really wanted to ask a question that pretty much no one else has been asking. What is better, the Mark 8 Fiesta or the Mark 7? Now we have two of the prime examples right in front of me. Two AET Motorsport Voodoo cars, which I'm going to take out today. I want to do a versus of these cars. Now, don't get me wrong, two very, very different cars. One at the pinnacle of what is available for the hot hatch market, the Mark 7 Fiesta. That has literally everything on it. Hybrid turbo, 340 brake horsepower, all of the goodies. This one is a development car though. This is only run 240 brake horsepower, so a little bit over the last one that I videoed, but I really want to see, is this the next generation of the Mark 7? With the Mark 7 being as good as it is, I want to know, will this 3-pot turbocharged car be as good as its successor? Fiesta ST2 by AET Motorsport. Now this is fresh from a wrap. I genuinely like this wrap quite a lot, but what has this car had done to it? It has the stage 1 parent map, around 240 brake horsepower, 260 foot-pound of torque in one of these little 3-cylinder Fiestas. It's actually quite mind-blowing that you can get that much power out of a remap. Coupled with that, you do have the Scorpion exhaust system. Now I'm going to switch the car into sport because you cannot drive one of these without putting it in sport mode. So that opens flaps in the exhaust, all that sort of good stuff, and it creates more of a sense of occasion with this little Fiesta. Something that I think you need, because this is by no means anywhere near as powerful as the car I'm going to drive in a minute. So I want this to not necessarily blow my socks off, but prove to myself that this is as good as I think it's going to be. Now, the first thing that I'm so surprised about is the torque. I felt that in the last one, the torque, and you know, the fact that this car actually pushes you in the back of the seat for a 3-cylinder is a sort of hats off to the new age turbocharged engines, because it just throws you with that torque. This being a development car, obviously there isn't too much out for it at the moment, let's be honest. So we are working with a blow-off valve, a remap, and literally what is a standard setup car. No springs, no special dampeners, no performance enhancing. But I think as a package, this is good from the factory, you know, with a remap and an exhaust system. It has a lot to be said for what's actually capable of these. You know, you are not getting the full potential of this car at the moment because a lot of things haven't been developed with it yet. But that means that although there isn't much done to this, it's still a genuinely exciting car at 240 brake horsepower. You do get a sense that there's a lot more to be had with one of these cars. You know, the pops and bangs can be greater in the future, the power can be greater in the future. You know, a lot of people have been saying, you know, is the turboed engine going to put up with a bit more power out of it? And who knows until they start really getting as much as they can out of these cars. So what does it feel like to drive? Let's throw it about, let's enjoy this thing, because I've been told it's one hell of a car to have fun in. Now we're a little bit wet today, don't get me wrong, and I've just turned the ESC off because I've been told to turn it off. That's how we drive one of these little Fiestas. Very, very poised. A little bit of a fight from the front end. Even at 240 brake horsepower, you throw it down and it can cope with that sort of power. I think the chassis is really well set up from the factory to run a little bit more power than it should. So at this power, standard brakes, standard, you know, suspension, all that can cope really well, I think. That and the fact that you are driving a new car, so it feels quite tight and new, is a really reassuring thing, especially when it's running a little bit more power than it should. There isn't mountains of torque steer, you know, there isn't going to be at this sort of power, don't get me wrong, but there is a trick diff in these, so it copes really well, especially if you do throw a little bit more power through it. And as I found out in the past, these things are so capable, they really are, and pitching it against the Mark 7 is really what I wanted to do today. So after driving this for a bit, I'm going to head back, jump in the Mark 7. Obviously it's got considerably more power than this one, and we've got greasy roads today, which makes it even more exciting. Okay guys, so jumping in the Mark 7, it is absolutely chucking it down now. Of course it would, it's Britain, that's what happens. So, 350 brake horsepower, front wheel drive, hybrid turboed Mark 7. What's it about? Well, the underlying factor is that this is the best package you can buy in the Mark 7 at the moment. The modified car scene is absolutely crammed full of these things, and I definitely see why. So if you are one of those people, hats off to you for having an awesome car. It is an absolute rocket ship. So half throttle. Whoa. So third gear spinning up at what is the speed limit. Absolutely zero traction in these conditions, but it can hook, you know. Front wheel drive is gonna act this way in the wet. You need to keep both hands on the steering wheel. Because if you don't, it's not snatchy at all, don't get me wrong, it's very controllable, but you can see by the steering wheel, it does want to go like this around a straight road. It wants to into the hedge. Nothing in second gear. Third gear. It even spins in fourth. On a dry day, this thing would be unbelievable. It's unbelievable here. If you're willing to cap your traction, you know, and work with the throttle pedal, not just jam your foot down, learn how to drive a front-wheel drive car in wet conditions with big power, it does still throw you in the back of the seat, this thing. That amount of power in this, it's not forged, it's not been opened at all, this engine. It's got the hybrid turbo on it, and it's running that sort of power from the VT330R hybrid turbo. It also has the Voodoo ported manifold and the Voodoo decat, so it sounds really, really good, this thing. Pops and bangs very nicely, and select third gear again. Fantastic! Fourth gear, way! Oh, what an absolute riot of a car! Oh, it is so poised when it does spin. You can grab this thing by the scruff of the neck and really just... You are going down the road. We are going to go fast. It is going to happen. It will let you do that. Yes, there is traction loss. It's going to happen. It's front wheel drive and we're in the chucking down wet. But if you get the sweet spot in this condition, fight that front end. It's like a hyperspace button when it does come on. The reality is though, this is the best in the market. The modified market for these Fiestas is massive. A lot of people know that, a lot of people pursue that as well. The Mark 7 is a fantastic base. It feels really comfortable in here. Nice composed car to start with, and then you put suspension wheels, good tyres, and then throw 350 brake horsepower for it. It's going to be nuts. That being said, I don't think you're ever going to get that out of the Mark 8 unless you're going to engine swap it or something like that, which I think I have seen something about putting the Mark 7 engine in the Mark 8. Pretty good idea, but I don't know where the cap of brake horsepower is on the Mark 8. No one's got there yet, I suppose, or you know, they have blown it up in the process. I'm not really sure, but I see a lot more people chasing the Mark 7 for big power, you know, mods and all that sort of stuff. And you can see why, because that engine hasn't even been opened up and it's literally thrown the back of the car in the wet. That's how good this little car is. And there's such a big following for them. Again, you know, AET, they are one of the best at what they do, and this Voodoo car is showing off exactly the potential that you can get from these Mark 7s, and they're absolutely unbelievable. You know the Mark 8 has a lot to live up to after the Mark 7, after ones like this where you force that sort of power through it, and you force, you know, a lot more drivability through it as well. These are fantastic driving cars. I just hope the Mark 8 is going to ever be this good, because at the moment it doesn't give you that fizz, it doesn't give you that excitement burst like this does. Yes, it's more power, don't get me wrong, you're going to have more fun, a more powerful car. This feels a bit more connected, the steering feels nicer, the gearbox notch is lovely, so when you do come on and you change gear, you are throwing it into gear, it just feels so much more, I'm going to say organic, but it just feels nicer, it just feels better. It feels like you're connected to the car, it doesn't feel like a new, numb car, and unfortunately, I think that's what the Mark 8 is lacking, is the feel, the fizz. But it does raise the question, is the Mark 8 ever going to be this good? Because this is a phenomenal car, built by people that know cars, that know what they're talking about, for a market that just want to have fun. That's exactly what this car is, just a load of fun. Now it's actually raining. I just want to sum up the end of this video. Now I know full well these cars are not the same. They're going to act differently, especially in this weather, completely chucking down. But what a comparison to go from the Mark 8 to the Mark 7, you know, driving them on the same roads, you know, with the same sort of attitude as well. It's really, really rewarding to me to see that the progression to the Mark 8 is there, but it's just not as fun as the Mark 7, and that's what I had with the Mark 3 RS as well. I'm still waiting for this to be developed, the newer cars, to get what I would personally want out of them. Anyway, massive thank you, as I stand here in the rain, to AET for letting me take these awesome cars. If you're not already, like, subscribe, and I'll see you all on the next one. Cheers, guys.